What are we discussing today?
We're going to continue from where we left off last week, which was the end of chapter 1 of the book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by Dr. John Gottman.
Quick recap, we're doing this video series on marriage because in about 2 months, Pushy will be shifting his work focus to Boston. As a result, the two of us won't have enough time in the future to record videos regularly. Although Pushy and I won't have enough time in the future to record videos regularly together, I have encouraged him to fly solo because I truly believe he has the personality and ability as well as compassion to give back to our community by providing tips and guidance on things that might be beneficial to a lot of people. Pushy has taken my advice to heart and he will be flying solo. But before that, because this long-distance relationship will for sure create extra stress for our marriage, he proposed the two of us to dedicate the last few episodes of our regular time together on finishing and sharing a great marriage book we have been reading together.
Keep in mind, Mushi said regular time together, which means she might still be in my future videos from time to time, but just not regularly. We hope by finishing the book, our relationship will be strengthened, and that by sharing this book with you all, your relationships with your partners or spouses or significant others will also be strengthened. So, today, we're going to discuss chapters 2 and 3 of the book. Chapter 2 focuses on what does make the marriage work. And chapter 3 focuses on the signs of a marriage that will eventually end up in a divorce.
All right, let's go.
Howdy folks, welcome to our channel. I am Pushy.
I'm Mushy.
And we're the Pushy Mushy, yeah!
Serious.
So, Be serious is actually a gram-positive bacillus that has the potential to cause food poisoning.
Seriously.
We will do our best to combine facts with humor, but if we do make mistakes, please let us know and we will do our best to correct. Please like or dislike, hopefully not dislike, subscribe, comment, share, and press that bell icon.
Great. So, what does make a marriage work?
Per the author, the reality is getting couples to disagree nicely might reduce the stress levels during an argument, but frequently, this is not enough to pump the life back into their marriages. This echoes with what we covered during our previous episode, which was the first chapter of this book.
We just want to make sure you're paying attention.
Communication alone was most likely not enough to save a marriage.
Happy marriages were never about perfect unions. Conflicts exist often, both for happy couples and unhappy couples, and that both happy couples and unhappy couples argue about everything, like all of us.
Such as money, jobs, kids, housekeeping, sex, and in-laws.
Per the author, happy marriages follow the 7 principles versus unhappy marriages almost always come up short in at least one of these 7 areas.
At the heart of the 7 principles is the simple truth that happy marriages are based on a deep friendship, which is defined as mutual respect and enjoyment of each other's company, meaning staying connected with your partner and knowing each other's likes as well as dislikes, meaning I care about what Mushi cares about and vice versa, or a concept known as connection attunement per the author, which we will cover later.
Friendship fuels the flame for romance because it offers the best protection against feeling adversarial towards your spouse.
This concept is known as the positive sentiment override, in which the positive thoughts about each other and the marriage supersede the negative feelings or the inevitable disagreements and irritations of married life.
This positivity causes couples to be more optimistic about their relationship. In return, it takes a much more significant conflict for this particular couple to lose their equilibrium than it would otherwise.
Most marriages begin with friendship, but this often deteriorates over time because of accumulating anger, irritation, and resentment. As a result, over time, friendship becomes more and more of an abstraction, eventually falling into the negative sentiment override zone. Let me give you an example. In a negative sentiment override zone, I no longer give Mushi the benefit of the doubt, or I give her less and less of the benefit of the doubt because of various wear and tear in our relationship over time. To the point that when she says, "Why are we so tight on money?" This actually happens. I'm just saying, it actually does happen. It actually happened, and it's probably gonna keep happening in the future. Just saying. So to the point where when she tells me, "Why are we so tight on money?" I flip out, which also happened in the past. But it never happened when we were friends initially, because at the time, initially, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I took that same statement initially as a suggestion for improvement instead of a criticism toward this later stage, such as now, of our relationship.
This example, in our opinion, is not solely Pushy's fault or responsibility because, let's be fair for a moment, was my tone of that same sentence different during our initial stage of our relationship versus the later stage of our relationship? This would be an interesting point to think about as couples journey on and have a longer lasting relationship. Ask yourself, is your current tone to your spouse the same as when the two of you were first met?
In order to prevent us from getting into the negative sentiment over rhizome, we have to build a sound relationship house, which the author thinks of the house's many floors and levels, comprised of the 7 principles of marriage that we will cover in our future episodes. But for now, in order to build this sound relationship, both need to work on emotional connection, trust, and commitment.
Connection means mutual understanding and acknowledgement, and that your happiness is contingent on your partner's feelings.
Trust means you assume the best about your partner and your relationship with your partner, and that both of you are unselfish.
Commitment means you need to attune to your partner and prioritize to your partner.
The opposite of this sound relationship house would be a couple assuming the worst about each other. For example, my mind is filled with, Mushi doesn't care about me.
Or all I think about is, all that matters to Pushy is getting his way.
In this mode, the relationship devolves into a zero-sum game in which my victory is perceived as Mushi's defeat, and vice versa.
And without intervention, we're likely headed for betrayal.
Betrayal. Although betrayal is often thought of in sexual terms, an extramarital physical affair is really just one type of disloyalty. Fundamentally, betrayal is any act of life choice that doesn't prioritize committing to your partner. The author gives a few common forms that deserve some serious attention because I think at some point in all of our lives, perhaps all of us have or had committed one or some of these betrayal forms, which include being emotionally distant from your partner, siding with a parent against one's mate, disrespecting your partner, and breaking significant promises.
The author cites research evidence that suggests betrayal lies at the heart of every failed relationship.
Most of us are somewhere between perfect and disaster. The good news is that there are ways to rescue at any point, unless you have a perfect relationship, which we truly feel happy for you, and congratulations. But we also have serious doubts. Perfect relationship? Really? Come on. Anyway, so how do we rescue a relationship before it gets out of control? The author provides a term for this rescue method or rescue weapon called the repair attempt. This is something that a couple mutually understands to do when something, say an argument, seems to be getting out of control. This could be anything, a statement or a gesture, something silly or something serious. Let's give an example.
Why are we so tight on money?
Because you spend too much.
But I make money.
You don't make enough. Another example.
Your mother doesn't like me.
Nobody likes you.
Honey, I love you.
Honey, I love you too. In these examples, our silly faces and saying of, honey, I love you, acted as the repair attempt. But keep in mind, repair attempts can only work when the couple is within the positive sentiment over rhizome.
This is a good technique, and although it sounds easy, the author suggests this is not enough to strengthen one's marital friendship.
But that's okay. Almost everyone messes up in marital conflicts. And that's why we're going over this book with all 7 principles covered in future episodes.
In the strongest marriage, spouses share deep sense of meaning.
They support each other's hopes and aspirations and build a sense of purpose into their lives together.
Verbally, this makes sense and sounds simple, but I think it's actually very hard.
I feel the same, to be fair. Honestly, because of a fundamental truth, which is that most marital arguments cannot be resolved. You can try to convince your spouse, whatever you want to convince him or her, for years, but at the end of the day, he or she likely won't be changed. And that is not to say he or she does not love you. So the reality becomes that we have to learn to live with each other's differences and honoring them by respecting each other. Only then can we build shared meaning and a sense of purpose into our marriage. In my opinion, this is very difficult.
Pushy is, in my opinion, a very smart guy. So if he thinks something is difficult, I think most people are going to feel it is somewhat difficult. Now, you might be way smarter than all of us, and if that's the case, we truly feel happy for you.
But we also have serious doubts about you being way smarter than us.
Focus.
Sorry. So let's go over some alarming signs to recognize for our marriages so we can more efficiently improve them by learning about the 7 principles later.
The first sign is negative tone.
This is particularly true in how you start a conversation with your partner when dealing with a problem. Do you sound like you are criticizing or accusing your partner from the get-go? Are you constantly being sarcastic? Or have you already made up your mind that the problem is your partner and not you?
The second sign is what the author refers to as the 4 horsemen. These 4 characteristics can be viewed as a continuation from the first sign, meaning how you carry on your conversation with your partner.
Because Mushi has mentioned the word continuation, I think we can expect that these 4 characteristics are also negative. Specifically, these 4 horsemen are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling.
Criticism is very different from complaint. A complaint focuses on a specific behavior or event and should have 3 parts: how I feel about specific situation and what I need or prefer.
For example, Mushi, I am very upset that you are not coming to Boston. Can you try to visit more often?
Versus a criticism is global and express negative feelings or opinions about one's character or personality.
For example, Mushi, why don't you ever come to Boston with me? You just don't care about me.
Contempt arises from a sense of superiority over one's partner, and it is a form of disrespect.
It can also be expressed as cynicism or sarcasm. In essence, when being contemptuous, one's goal in an argument is not to solve the problem anymore, but to demean his or her partner or to put your partner down. Of note, couples who are contemptuous of each other are more likely to suffer from infectious illnesses than other people. Pretty darn interesting.
The third horseman is defensiveness, which is something I use very often per pushy.
Okay.
But per the author, defensiveness simply escalates a conflict or argument.
One common form of defensiveness is the innocent victim stance, which often entails whining. Why are you picking on me? Mushi does that a lot. And what about all the good things I've done? Mushi does that too. I'm not saying, like we all, I have some contemptuous comments from time to time too. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. No one is perfect. And if you're perfect, good for you. But we seriously have doubts about that. But good for you. Good for you.
The fourth horseman is stonewalling, which is basically tuning out.
Research indicates that stonewalling is far more common among men in all kinds of marriages. A stonewaller doesn't give the casual feedback in a conversation, such as, uh-huh, or, yeah. Instead, he or she tends to look away or down without uttering a sound. Of note, it takes time for the negativity created by the first 3 horsemen to become overwhelming enough that stonewalling becomes an understandable out.
That overwhelming feeling is the third sign of a marital relationship ending in a divorce. And the term is called flooding. Basically, a feeling that you just cannot handle your partner anymore.
The fourth sign is body language that shows severe emotional distress or the fight or flight response for all of you medical folks out there.
Because of human evolution, the author states that this is a biological fact that men are more easily overwhelmed by a marital conflict than are their wives.
The fifth sign is failed repair attempts, and the sixth sign is bad memories. An important point is that when a marriage gets to the point where the couple has rewritten their history and when their minds and bodies make it virtually impossible to communicate and repair their current problems, their relationship is almost bound to fail without the right help.
Some people leave a marriage through divorce. Others do so by staying together by leading parallel lives. Whatever the route, there are 4 final stages that signal the death knell of a relationship.
The couple sees their marital problems as severe. Talking things over seems useless. Parallel lives happen, such as Boston and Brentwood. Sorry, wrong example. Loneliness sets in. However, it's not over until it's over. And there are always ways to correct certain problems in a marriage.
Next episode, we will go over the first principle for making marriage work, and eventually, we will cover all 7.
Leave a comment if you are brave enough, and we will respond in a timely fashion. We're the pushy mushy. Thanks for watching.